Of all of West Africa, Senegal is perhaps the country that has been most affected by the environmental changes which are impacting on our oceans. Subjected to the wrath Mother Nature is unleashing on us, the seafaring people have a dilemma to face. Should they take to the open seas or stay put?
Why go and kill yourself looking for work elsewhere? Wherever there is water, sunshine, and the strength to work, there is a chance for development.
From the meandering Saloum River to the banks of the Pink Lake, armed only with their courage, these men and women are fighting to protect their homeland. They are the sentinels of Senegal. Posted like a lookout at the river mouth and battered by the ocean waves, San Louis gazes out over the Atlantic, protective of its former glory. Fighter Bridge, built at the end of the 19th century, bears witness to a time when San Louis reigned over the African colonies. It was a major trading post. Gum Arabic passed through here in transit before being shipped to Europe. When Senegal gained independence in 1960, Dakar became the capital, and the island of San Louis gradually fell into a state of slumber. This city radiates an old-fashioned charm, which is perhaps less due to its architectural heritage than to the people of San Louis themselves.
Put some grease on it, some oil, and clean it.
Mesa Fall is 54. Assisted by his son Petit Jean, he runs a bicycle repair shop in San Louis.
You need to have a love of cleaning bicycles. It's important to love what you do. That's why you need to caress them. If you caress them, you'll end up loving them. You must love what you do. It's part of the job. Yeah.
Mesa Fall is a mechanic, but he's so much more than that. Wolof and French-speaking, a sculptor and a poet, he is a local celebrity in San Louis.
I landed on this island of Saint Louis in a boat. That beautiful boat was my mother, and its handsome skipper was my father. He was a bicycle repairer, like his father, and he passed the skill on to me on this island of Saint Louis where I've only ever been surrounded by bicycles. I spent the days when there was no school at the workshop because I was a very disruptive child, and my old man didn't want me playing with the others and doing any damage, so I stayed by his side, and after every repair he gave me a rag and said, "Mesa, clean this bicycle." So I did. I made quick work of the cleaning because my friends were nearby and I wanted to go and play with them. And I'd say, "Dad, come and see, it's clean." And he'd say, "Look at the chain, the gears, the cogs, the spokes and the hub. That needs a good clean too, Mesa." I hated the object I was cleaning. So I transformed it in my mind's eye because it was stopping me from going out to play with the others. I turned it into a bird or a person. We rarely got any customers because when I repair a bicycle, I do it in such a way that the customer's not going to be coming back in a hurry. The days passed. The saying goes that when you have nothing to do, you make art. Since I had stored up all those images in my head from when I was a little kid, I thought, why not do something with them? And that is how it started.
Armed with a supply of parts accumulated over 3 generations, Mesa heads off to his welding workshop to produce a new work of art that he plans to install in the city centre.
In Saint Louis, there is the river, the sea, the buildings, and the people. Everything in Saint Louis inspires me. Saint Louis' heritage is at risk because there's an anarchy here. People are building any old how. A lot of houses have been abandoned because their owners are now in Dakar. But thankfully, there are buildings such as the Photography Museum, which have been nicely renovated. Yeah, it's a very pretty building. I love these red bricks. They were made in Bukucho. There was a kiln there where they made these bricks. Then they were transported here by boat. They were brought here to build these beautiful houses. This is an example of how, if the houses are renovated nicely like this one, the town would regain its splendor of old. I see a guardian of the temple, a sentinel of our heritage, informing people about these beautiful buildings that we risk losing in this city of Saint Louis, and telling them to be careful not to destroy the legacy of our grandparents.
The beautiful city of Saint Louis has two faces. On its island, situated in the middle of the Senegal River, the old colonial town dreams of its former glory. Opposite, wedged in between the river and the ocean, is one of the most densely populated places in Senegal, Gedda, the fisherman's quarter.
Get down if you've finished. Push it. Push it into the water. That pirogue is going to Mauritania. It's going to Mauritania to look for fish. There are no fish here anymore. Fish is expensive now.
At the shipyard in Gedda, Mr. Diop is hard at work. Since retiring, this former fisherman has branched out into decorating pirogues.
Have you nearly finished?
Almost.
Diop, write the name of my mother on it, Maimouna Aidara.
Maimouna Aidara, all right.
Whenever I've named a boat after my mother, it's brought me luck, and I've had good catches. I've called all my boats Maimouna Aidara ever since. I've just come back from Mauritania, where the fishing boats are all painted specific colours. All the pirogues are brown there. But I'm back now. And tomorrow I'm going fishing. So I'm getting my boat repainted with the colours from home.
Whenever you see a pirogue with a pattern on it like this, you know it comes from St. Louis. The blue at the front of the pirogue is the arches of the Feather Bridge, which is our emblem. The grey painting means happiness. That's the fisherman returning home to rest. He's happy. He's made enough money to feed himself and his family. It represents happiness and money. It's done. You can climb aboard. When I finish the job, I like to see the reaction of the owner, to find out whether he's happy with my work. That gives me pleasure. Then I know I've done a good job. There are lots of motifs that are specific to St. Louis. I'm keeping the tradition alive, just as our ancestors did. But unfortunately, there's a lot less work now than there used to be. I was born here, and when I was a child, the river was my playground. There used to be a big gap between the river and the sea. It took ages to cross Guet-Nedar on foot. But today the sea is advancing fast and ravaging everything. When the sea destroys the fishermen's houses, they can't afford my services anymore.
Mr. Diop has good reason to worry. Guet-Dar and its inhabitants are seriously threatened by global warming and the inexorable rise of the sea level. Season after season, tide after tide, the Atlantic Ocean is devouring the coastline and terrorizing the inhabitants of Guet-Dar. Barely 3 months ago, the greedy waves carried away dozens more houses, leaving their inhabitants distraught and homeless. Every year, the Atlantic Ocean becomes more voracious, and human endeavors to save the area don't stand a chance. The environmental threat hanging over Senegal can be explained by its geography. Situated in the heart of West Africa, Senegal covers an area of about 200,000 square kilometers, less than half the surface area of France. Bordered on the whole of its west side by the Atlantic Ocean, Senegal is above all a country of fishermen, and most of the population is concentrated along the coastline. Dula people from Casamance in the south, Sahara people in the center, and Wolof people in the north are all subjected to the caprices of nature, which is retaliating blow for blow what it has suffered at the hands of humans. On board Mayumana Adara, Pap Lamine and his son are heading out to haul in the nets, like they do every day.
Come on, pull, pull. Faster, faster. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. We're fishing for sole. Sole is pretty much all there is at the moment. But it's not a good catch. We should have landed more fish than that. I've been fishing since 1982. And my son was practically born at sea. It's hard work, and there are lots of accidents. It's not easy working here. The sea's becoming more and more violent.
Climate change isn't the only reason for the increasingly rough seas of the Atlantic Ocean. The Langue de Barbarie, this long sandbank on which Guet-Dar is built, in the past stretched for several dozen kilometers south, forming a rampart against the ocean. But in 2003, to protect Saint Louis from flooding from the Senegal River, the authorities dug a 4-meter-wide breach in the sandbank, unintentionally opening up the Pandora's box. Today, the breach measures 7 kilometers and is widening day by day. This environmental disaster has proved to be a life sentence for Paplamine's village, situated opposite. The same tidal wave that carried away part of Gedda also devastated his house. Ever since, Pap and the 22 people who depend on him have been camping in his garden.
It was sunset. A wave came and destroyed the wall. It swept through the house and destroyed all the rooms. There was nothing we could do. We had to leave. We were lent another house. All the neighbors came to help us get our things out. Very difficult time for us. These freak waves started coming last year. The sea destroyed our house the first time. We rebuilt it. Then it happened again this year. I'm very worried, because if it happens again, we won't be able to carry on repairing the house forever. Every evening at 7 o'clock, we move out. We don't sleep here anymore because we're too scared of the sea.
Tonight, like every other night, Paplamine and his family are leaving their house to go and spend the night with friends far away from the coast.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الحمد لله محمد رسول الله 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 محمد رسول الله
We are threatened from both sides, from the city and from the ocean. That's why I've made this piece, this river sentinel, to tell people to be vigilant, like this sentinel on the banks of the Senegal River. For me, an artist is someone who reflects on things for himself, for his town, for his country, for Africa, for the whole world. That's what it means to me. I've played my part. Yeah.
Before flowing into the Atlantic Ocean in Saint Louis, the Senegal River irrigates the plains in the north of the country and marks out the border with the Mauritanian desert. Its nourishing waters serve as a sanctuary for widgeons and flamingos and provide an oasis in the middle of the Sahelian desert. Saint Louis and the river mouth mark the northern limit of the Grand Côte. Along this 150-kilometer stretch of coastline, the same problems of coastal erosion and overfishing recur. At the other end of the country is the city of Dakar and the Cape Verde Peninsula, a conglomeration of 3 million inhabitants. That's a lot of mouths to feed for the men and women of Kayar, Senegal's largest fishing port. It is 8 o'clock a.m. The pirogues head out, passing those returning from fishing trips which have lasted all night or even several days. Eliman is a child of Kayar. He is the son of a fisherman and a fisherman himself. Returning from a night at sea, he endeavors to make ends meet by helping to unload the fish, like hundreds of other youngsters from Kayar.
Empty it from this side, hurry up.
I like the sea where I spent my childhood. We spent all our time playing on the beach. It was our playground. When the pirogues came in, they were full of fish. But in 2006, the Senegalese government signed a fishing agreement with the Europeans. Big trawlers came here to fish, and they took everything. We used to fish 2 or 3 kilometers from the shore. Now we have to go much further, and there are no fish left. Plus, the population here has increased a lot. Before, there were only 200 to 300 pirogues. Now there are 6,000 here in Kaya. Everything has become more expensive, harder to come by and more complicated. The young people have started to emigrate. We went up to Saint Louis where a pirogue was about to set sail. We boarded it, but it got damaged off the coast of Mauritania. So we disembarked there and came home. Then I made a second attempt, and that time I managed to get as far as Tenerife. The Spanish put us in immigration centers, but we were sent home by the Senegalese government. If I get another chance to emigrate, I'm going to take it, because I've been fishing for 28 years now, and I can't make a decent living out of it.
An ocean which no longer nourishes people, but which people brave because it brings hope of a better life. Every year, hundreds more join the exodus. They leave Kayar, risking their lives to see what lies on the other side of the horizon. Periods of celebration, such as Ramadan, place an extra financial burden on the people of Kayar. In this mostly Wolof region, members of the Muslim Brotherhood, Ba'i Fal, go round the streets begging for alms as a sign of humility and solidarity with the poorest. This cult, that is close to Sufism, advocates indifference to all material possessions. A Ba'i Fal ceremony is organized every Thursday at Eliman's house.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Abdullah? Galgu? How are you, my brother? You're already dressed? The sea wasn't bad today, but there were no fish. I'm going to get ready for the ceremony.
After his second attempt to emigrate, Eliman's wife left with his 2 children. He finds comfort in his family and the solidarity of the Ba'i Fal Brotherhood.
Mamshir, where's your black and white robe? Here, put this on. Mamshir has a rosary. Go and bang the tom-tom. Not all at once. Gently. Gently. Being Ba'i Fal gives me a certain sense of well-being. I'm happy to be Ba'i Fal. Being Ba'i Fal means I can put up with a lot. It teaches you patience. Being biphal means being tolerant. We don't have much, but we try to be happy with what we have. It's another dimension to life.
Should they hold out and stay in Senegal, or leave and tempt fate? Eliman and his friend Galgou, who lost his leg in a fishing accident, are torn between these two choices. To discuss it, they are meeting with a very special woman, Yayi Bayam Diouf. She was the first woman in her village to earn a living from fishing, and she fights a constant battle with this clandestine migration, which claimed her only child.
My son, along with 80 of his friends, took a boat to Europe in search of some human dignity. His hope evaporated along with mine because he was lost at sea. It was difficult. It was very hard for me. The disappearance of my son was a trigger for me. We need credible alternatives if we are to keep our young people in our country. That's when I decided we needed to create economic opportunities for these youngsters.
Yayi Bayam Diouf had no income after her son died, so, aged over 50, she learned to fish. She then went on to set up a fish farm. Today, she employs young people and teaches them about sustainable fishing.
Hello, everyone. How are you, madam?
Well, thanks.
What's your name?
Yayi Bayam Diouf. I'm from Thierry-sur-Mer.
Oh, yes, I've heard of you. You're like a big sister to us, and that's a really good thing. People say that what leads you into the darkness can also teach you how to come out the other side.
Yes. I held a session to raise awareness in schools. I asked one pupil, "Do you know the sea they call the Mediterranean?" And he said, "Yes, that's where our parents go to die." Imagine a child growing up with such an idea that the Mediterranean is no longer a bridge between Africa and Europe, but rather a human cemetery. It's a tragedy, a real tragedy. We have to stop now and rethink things. We must believe in ourselves, in our country. Why risk death to seek work elsewhere? These people in Europe are not extraordinary. They are no cleverer than we are. They are just better organized. Look at all the fish processing plants here. They are all run by foreigners. We go out to sea and do all the hard work. We bring in our catch and then we flog it to them. They process it and export it. I bring back a product, but that's not enough. I need to add value to it so I can sell it for a higher price. Wherever there is water, sunshine, and the strength to work, there can be development.
A dialogue has opened up between this woman, who brings a message of hope, and the fisherman, about the survival of the fishing industry in KR in this changing world. Rather than leave their country, lots of fishermen have chosen to migrate to the south and the Petite Côte, which starts in Dakar and extends as far as the Saloum River Delta. Beyond that, and up to the border with Gambia, never-ending ocean inlets wind their way inland. The region of Sini Saloum covers 180,000 hectares of land and water, broken up into thousands of sandy islands. It's a maze of mangrove swamps and belongs. These meandering ocean inlets have for thousands of years been home to the Neominka Serer people, otherwise known as the Serer Delta people. Mariama has spent her whole life in the Delta. Every day, she and a group of friends wait for low tide to go and harvest oysters, which they sell for a living.
When we're harvesting oysters, we have to be careful because they are sharp and we don't want to cut our fingers. We used to cut off the whole branch, but when you cut off the whole branch, there are no oysters left to reproduce. So now we take a knife and cut them off gently, one by one. It's important that our children and grandchildren can do as our mothers did, and as we're doing and continue to make a living here. If we destroy the lot, what will they find here? We must preserve it.
Once they've been boiled, shucked and dried, the oysters will be consumed on the spot or sold at the market by Mariama's friends. For thousands of years, shellfish have been at the heart of Sahara culture. Their consumption by dozens of consecutive generations and the tons of shells produced by these eating habits have led to a transformation of the landscape of the Saloum Delta. This artificial island emerging from the mangrove swamp is in fact a giant pile of shells 12 hectares wide on which baobab trees have sprung up. Piles of shells, such as this one, served as burial grounds for the Sahara people up until the last century. Mariama comes here regularly to pray.
This island has been here for thousands of years. It's a very important place in Sahara culture. The reason all these shells are here is that the Delta people made a living from fishing for mussels, shellfish and oysters. There are also shells from the fruit of the baobab trees. All these shells served as burial mounds or tombs for our ancestors. All their possessions were placed in their tombs with them. They were buried with all their belongings. For example, their bracelets and pieces of pottery, sometimes even bones. This is where people come to pray for their ancestors. It's a religious place, a place of prayer. It's a very sacred place for us.
Mariama has finished praying and hurries home to the village of Bambouga. Mariama has invited her nephew Aliou over, together with his staff, his coach and his training partner. Aliou works as a farmer for the rest of the year, but during the dry season he makes a living as a wrestler. He and his team cross the region, going from fight to fight, finding lodgings wherever they can.
You can leave your luggage here. Here, hold it like this.
Aliou has just won the last two tournaments, and he has a fight tomorrow on the outskirts of Bambouga.
Right, it's ready. I'll put that there.
Mariama is married, but she has chosen to live alone with her children and grandchildren. It's an unusual situation in Serer society, where the men, many of whom are polygamous, are traditionally the head of the family.
Lower your gaze in front of the adults and stop making a pig of yourself. Eat properly. My husband and his 2 wives live in their big house, but I live in my house. I'm unusual because I am submissive, but not overly submissive. How are you feeling about tomorrow's fight?
I'm on form.
God willing.
I've done all I had to do.
Do you plan to train on the day of the match?
Yes, tomorrow I'll train before the match. I need to warm up my muscles. Otherwise, I'll make a wrong move. Small errors happen when you don't warm up properly.
Come on, let's go. Go on. Stay on the line. Stay on the line. Right. We've done enough stretching and endurance work. Let's work on your contact. Go on, pick up the pace. That's it. Ha.
The Sini Saloum region is the birthplace of Senegalese wrestling. The wrestlers try to floor their adversary, in other words, to make him fall onto his hands and knees, or to force his head, his back, or his bottom to touch the ground.
Elaji, you need to attack. And Ailu, you need to be tougher.
In traditional wrestling, blows are forbidden. What separates the wrestlers is strength, weight, and endurance.
I chose this sport because I'm Serer. Wrestling is in our tradition. That's why I started doing it, and I've made a success of it. That's important to me because I'm a father. You can win sacks of rice and money. I take all that home with me to help my family. I want to be a great champion. I think I have the size and the strength to be successful in the arena. It's my dream to become a professional Senegalese wrestler.
The champions of Senegalese wrestling often have a background in traditional wrestling, like Aliou. Their status in Senegal is akin to that of our football stars. Their preparation is mystical as well as physical, with the inevitable visit from the village marabout before the match.
Hello?
Hello. Master, we've come to ask for your blessing for the coming fight. Where will the fight take place? It will take place in the village of Liran. When? Today.
You brought me luck for my last fight. I beat my adversary in the village of Ngo. Thank you for that. We have great confidence in you.
It is I who should thank you for your financial contribution to the construction of our mosque. We are here to help. A marabout is someone who assists people with the help of the surah in the Quran. Alu can't just go off and fight. He must be protected from bad luck. I'm going to pray for him and give him some purified water with the Quran. That will help him. I'm also going to give him some charms to make him stronger.
The Marabout has written down some surah and angels' names on a piece of paper. He then folds it to make a charm or talisman. He also gives Aliou bottles of water, purified by the Quran and mixed with roots. Aliou will take what is known as a mystical bath in it later. In Senegal, Marabouts are both spiritual guides and medicine men. This evening, the men put on a show of bravery, cheered on by local women dressed in their finery and griots singing a litany of praises. The fight started at around midnight. The final will be held at about 3 in the morning. Aliou, because he won his 2 previous trophies, is already through to the quarter-finals in his heavyweight category. The winner of tonight's tournament will win 2 cows. It is the best prize a farmer can get. The fight can last for 2 rounds of 10 minutes and can go into extra time, after which it will be decided on points awarded by the referee. Aliou's adversary has just blinded him. That's a foul, which will cost him the match after the regulation time. Aliou has won on points. That means he is through to the semi-finals and will be up against an adversary who is much heavier than him. A mountain of muscles in full mystical preparation mode.
I pushed him with all my might, but he wrong-footed me. He toppled me thanks to his weight, and I fell to the ground. Obviously, it hurts to lose, but that's the law of sport. There has to be a winner and a loser. I'm going to carry on training. I'll carry on the fight.
The rainy season is approaching. Soon, Aliou will return to the fields. Another fight will begin to extract enough from nature to feed his family. It's the common fate of so many Senegalese people, whether they are farmers, fishermen, or salt miners in Palmarin in northern Saloum. The changing colors are created by cyanobacteria, microscopic organisms which produce a pigment to help them survive the presence of salt. The biggest of these Senegalese salt mines is situated north of Dakar, Lake Retba, better known as Lac Rose or Pink Lake. Ousmane has been doing the painful job of salt scraping for the past 20 years. Every day, he goes out onto the lake to load up his boat, while his wife, helped by a friend, unloads the boat he filled up yesterday.
I'm piling up salt under my feet. I make several movements to separate it from the mud. The more movements I make, the whiter the salt is. I am the only local man still working on the lake. A lot of immigrants come here from Mali or Guinea to work. But the Senegalese don't want to put their feet in the lake to extract salt. The crystals cut your skin. It burns and leaves scars. You can't work here without suffering the consequences.
The day seems interminable under the burning sun. Ousmane will carry on until he has filled his boat up to the waterline.
The salt I've just unloaded will give us enough to survive on for 2 days. I say survive because if I buy enough food to live well, it will only last 1 day. I used to be a farmer. For a long time I grew millet and rice. But then the drought came and farming wasn't lucrative enough anymore, so I had to look for something else. So I became a weaver. But because of competition, the price of cloth plummeted. So then I decided to come to Lac Rose to be a salt scraper. This lake has brought me luck, and I love it, because I had nothing when I came here. I found work here, and I met my wife, and started a family here. I've done many things in the past that haven't always worked out. But this place has allowed me to earn a living.
Ousmane goes home to his wife and children. Tomorrow he will resume uncomplainingly what others call slave labor and what he simply calls earning a living. It's a daily lesson in resilience and courage by the last Senegalese salt scraper of Lac Rose. In a world that is in a state of flux, Ousmane and all the sentinels of the water are holding out and fighting for the survival of their heritage. Wedged between the vast wildernesses of the Atlantic and the Sahara, Mauritania was born of sand and wind. In order to survive there, people became nomads. It's a tough way of life, which has forged the identity of a nation.
The nomadic way of life is disappearing in Mauritania, but I want to remain in the desert until the day I die.
Wise men and women are still passing on their knowledge of the desert and its traditions. They are the sentinels of Mauritania. Times have changed, and nomadism has almost disappeared. Around the world, humans have become largely settled. A quarter of the 4.5 million inhabitants of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania live in the capital, Nouakchott. Nouakchott sprung out of nowhere, emerging from the sand in the 1950s to cater for French settlers. After independence in 1960, the city mushroomed thanks to the waves of drought and resultant rural exodus of thousands of nomads. The bricks and concrete, which now cover the sand, have not killed the nomadic soul of the Mauritanians. At the dromedary market, the roar of automobiles is drowned out by the cry of the animals. And further away, at Nouakchott's fishing port, the clamour of the sailors sounds like an invitation to travel. Hamada, age 25, has no job or qualifications. He must rely on the strength in his arms and his unwavering determination to get by.
To make a living here, my technique is to go to meet the fishermen and to give them a helping hand in the hope that they will give me something in return. A lot of people have quit the nomadic way of life to settle in Nouakchott. Very few people have any qualifications and there's a lot of unemployment, so people look for odd jobs. Luckily, Allah has opened my eyes and now I think I can make a living as a fisherman. I come here every day to try to learn the ropes, but I must admit it's not easy when you don't know anyone. Someone told me about the Imrigen people. Apparently they spend their whole life at sea and are excellent fishermen. I'm curious to know how these people live, so I've decided to head north today to try to learn some of their secrets.
A nation imbued with the Muslim faith and the traditions of the desert. To understand what makes Mauritanians tick, you need to look to their history and geography. Situated in both North and West Africa, Mauritania is 3/4 desert and 1.5 times the size of France. Its population is a cross between local animist tribes, Muslim Berbers originally from North Africa, and Beni Hassan warriors who crossed the Sahara from Arabia. Most of that population, which is 99% Muslim, now lives on the Atlantic coast. North of Nouakchott, covering an area of 12,000 square kilometers, the Banque d'Aga National Park offers board and lodging to migratory birds. This sandy universe, with its wind-swept mudflats, is home to the Imrigen people. This strange society, geographically and culturally cut off from the rest of Mauritania, is based entirely around the sea. The Imrigen people have become hardened sand sailors and understand the caprices of the Atlantic better than anyone. As rugged as the desert they have learned to survive in, the Imrigen people are known to integrate anyone willing to learn their ways into their community. The saying goes that you aren't born Imrigen, you become it. That means a chance for Hamada, our apprentice fisherman from Nouakchott, to learn a new profession. About 1,500 Imrigen people live in Banque d'Aga, spread over 8 rudimentary villages. Hamada has been told that the chief of Iwik village is an old fisherman called Noor.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're in good health?
Yes, thank God.
What are you doing here?
Well, I'd like to learn how to be a fisherman.
Do you want to learn? We can't integrate you into our society without getting to know you first. You might be a thief, or you might have problems we don't know about.
No, I have no problems. I just want to learn how to fish. I was told you're a good teacher and you have a lot of experience of the sea.
All right, all right. Teaching you is not a problem, but first we need to see how you fare at sea and if you're honest.
I won't disappoint you.
Give us out with the nets, and then we'll see about the rest. Stand on this side and help them haul it in. That's the best way to learn. We need to finish hauling in the net.
And then?
After that, we load it onto the truck. Go on. Make sure it's properly untangled.
Without any further formalities, Hamada joins the Imrigen people, anxious to prove himself under the watchful eye of old Noor. Fishing is at the center of every concern here, every activity. The Imrigen people spend all their time on land repairing materials and getting the boats ready.
What are you doing?
We're repairing this sail. It's called a pint.
Where does the cloth come from?
We buy the cloth in Nouakchott, and then we bring it here. We give it to the women because they're the ones who do the sewing. Next, we're going to raise the mast. You're going to help us.
Noah has set up camp a few hundred meters from the village. He lives there with his 4 children and his wife, who is in charge of preparing the fish. The Imrigen people sell most of their fish to fish merchants from Nouakchott. The rest forms the basis of their diet in this totally arid environment.
Welcome, Hamada. You can sleep in my tent for a while. What do you know about fishing?
I've never been allowed on board a boat. Haven't been to sea yet.
All right, let's start with that. God willing, tomorrow you will set sail with Salek. He'll show you a few navigation techniques.
Is Salek the skipper?
Yeah, he's in charge of the crew. He's also my nephew. If you get on okay, he'll teach you other things afterwards.
God willing.
Noor owns 2 launch sailing boats. These boats are typical of the Banque d'Agar region. He has entrusted one of his fishing boats to his nephew Salek, who is going to take Hamada under his wing today. The old man, accompanied by his eldest son, will oversee proceedings on the second launch.
We need to straighten up the mast.
How do you steer?
Watch everything I do. It's not complicated, you'll see. These launches were brought to Mauritania by the Spanish. Then they were handed down to us by our ancestors. The sails and the shape of the hull have been adapted to our sailing needs. Look how easy they are to control. That's important for inching our way between the sandbanks. Come closer. And take that. Push it towards me. That's good. Look straight ahead. Now put the tiller in the middle. Pull it towards you. Can you feel how the wind direction's changed? Now it's coming from the other side. So push it towards me. Try to follow the launch in front. And put it towards you if you want to go straight ahead. Look over there, those are sandbanks. You would definitely get stranded on them. You can wait hours for the tide to come back in.
So those are the famous sandbanks.
Straighten up the tiller. Pull it towards you. Right, wait. I'm going to need to take over here. Do you see? The channel is nicely marked out. For us, it's like a tarmac road. But if you go outside it, you've had it. Hamada, don't just sit there doing nothing. Go up front and haul in the nets. Go on, haul it in. Hamada, try to pull more evenly. You're here to work. Untangle it as you pull.
What sort of fish is that?
That's tuna. That too. Today's been a good day. We've caught a lot of fish. We've nearly hauled in the whole net. Hamada, you've worked hard today.
What length of net have we hauled in?
The net's 150 meters long. Put the fish in the hold. That's not bad at all. The sail isn't folded properly. Wait, I'll help you. Life as an Imralgan boy isn't easy. You start young, you're taken out on a boat. To teach you to swim, you're thrown into the water several times. You're made to haul in nets and taught how to maneuver the boat. It's hard work, but one day you finish learning and you can pass your knowledge on to the next generation. Noor is like a father to me. I met him when I was a small boy. He taught me some fishing techniques. And I continue to consult him today because there's still a lot more he can teach me. Who's this young man?
It's me, Hamada, the star fisherman.
He's still got a lot to learn.
Don't throw me in the sea yet. I can't swim. Give me a bit more time.
In one day with the Imrigen people, Hamada has learned more than in the past few months at Nouakchott port. This arid-looking outpost might just represent a new departure for him.
I've been very touched by the warm welcome the Imrigen people have extended to me. They've opened their doors to me and agreed to teach me their skills, which might allow me to make a living. So I'm going to stay here for a while. Why not? It might change the course of my life.
The Imrigen people have realized that integrating outsiders into their community is essential to the survival of their traditions. Here, and in the rest of Mauritania, passing on these traditions is the only way for this culture to be kept alive. As you travel inland to the east, the Atlantic coastline gives way to sandy plains and mountain ranges. In the center of the country is the Adrar region, a stony landscape dotted with the odd oasis, providing stopovers for Mauritania's last nomads. Adrar's nomadic shepherds cross the desert tirelessly in search of pastures. The goats and dromedaries they breed for meat and milk are their only currency. Yuba is the father of this family. The youngest child is 17-year-old Deda.
Go slowly, Deda. The animals have heavy loads. You need to find an easy path for the dromedaries to tread.
Yes, okay, Father. But which way should I go?
Go to the other side of the dune. The kids can stay behind. We'll come back for them once we've set up camp.
Deda, don't get separated from us. Wait for your father to tell you which way to go.
Okay. In the desert, we use the mountains or the shape of the dunes to find our bearings. Or else we use landmarks passed on to us by word of mouth. I only know where the good pastures are and the watering places because my father has given me a map. But the map isn't written down on paper. It's in my head. It's a mental map that he has made me learn. It's passed down from one generation to another. We've been traveling for a month now, and we're approaching the Tungad Oasis. There's water there and also a camel race. I really want to take part and see if I can win it. This is a good spot.
That was a long day. Zaha, aren't you tired?
When we get to a camp, first we unload the dromedaries, then we find some ground for them to graze on and tie them up. Next we light a fire, put up the tent and start preparing dinner. Careful, father. Don't approach the dromedary from behind, he'll kick you.
Tie the dromedaries up quite tight, otherwise they might wander off too far.
We've chosen a campsite where the sand is soft enough to hammer in our pegs. Also one which is nicely sheltered from the wind.
Hurry up and light the fire. I want my cup of tea. Come on.
Do you think Deda can win the camel race? There will be a lot of competition, you know. But Deda is an excellent camel driver. He has a good chance of winning. Why not do some divining in the sand to find out? There's no harm in trying. I can see a yellow dromedary, and it's going to overtake Deda. What are you talking about? No. I think Deda is going to come second. You listen to me. My Deda is going to come first, number one. No one can beat him. My son is the best camel driver. No, Mother. Deda is going to come second, not first. We'll see about that. We'll see. You've spoiled Deda rotten. You won't even let him ride his dromedaries. Is that what you think? I'm telling you, he could wrestle a dromedary to the ground.
Causing a dromedary to drop to the ground by pulling its tail is a way for young nomads like Deda to prove their strength and courage. It's a rite of passage to adulthood that looks a bit like a desert rodeo.
Go on, Deda! Catch it! Catch it!
Can the women come and assist?
Catch it and hold on tight. Well done, son.
That's enough. I'm going to tie it up again.
But Deda!
Go on, Dada, you can do it.
I'm not moving.
May Allah grant you a long life. Everyone is waiting. This is a test for you.
No, I can't do it. I don't want to.
Go on,
catch
it. Catch
Catch
it.
it.
Stop. I've had enough. He's had me running in all directions. I must have run 20 kilometers.
Once the chores have been done and the evening meal is over, it's time for stories and poems. Poetry sparring matches are one of the oldest nomad traditions. It's a form of mental gymnastics that Yuba and his children indulge in whenever they get the chance.
Praise be to Allah who presents my eyes with the stunning beauty of my country, Ishiv, Kejet, Turjit and Anwaka. I haven't forgotten the greenness of your pastures in autumn, or the sweet scent of the fresh grass that the beasts graze on around our scattered encampments. There is no more beautiful sight than the sky set ablaze on the mountain tops. The north wind pushes the lamb towards its mother. The cup of tea warms the old man's hands. The young gather to exchange the melody of words, poems from yesteryear and today.
Oh, the journey to my parents. I've stayed in Attar too long. I will walk for days, weeks, evenings, to be sure of seeing them again. After Attar and Sayatal, my soul is heavy, but I press on. At the end of the night, here is Tamur, where my parents await my return. Popular poetry occupies a big place in our traditions. We try to outdo one another with poems of praise or nostalgia. This is said to be the country of 4 million poets. The nomadic lifestyle is disappearing in Mauritania. Everyone dreams of moving to the big cities. Our young people are waiting for just one thing, to save up enough money to buy a car, so that they can go and shut themselves behind 4 walls. It's what I see and what I feel.
Personally, I like this life. And as long as my parents are alive, I will stay with them. But if one day they are no longer here, I don't know what God will have in store for me.
I want to stay in the desert until the day I die. The best moments in life are spent here, beside a log.
Tejit, Timinit, Maiden, Agmamin. All these names recited by the nomads in their poetry correspond to places. It's a list of oases that they memorize like a map leading to the one treasure to be found in the desert, water. Tungad is one of the biggest palm grove oases on the Adrar Plateau.
I can't wait to get to Tungad. We'll be able to buy millet and seeds. We need to stock up.
First, we'll give the animals a drink and replenish our water supplies. Fill up the water bottles, fill up the water skins. We need to fill everything up. The next well is a long way away. Did you hear? Fill everything up.
Yes.
Carrying water is never a burden in the desert. Because if you run out, you suffer.
If you've finished filling those up, go to the village to sell a sheep. I need money to buy provisions.
With its stone houses, interspersed here and there with a few traditional tents, Tungard village has witnessed the gradual settling of Moorish people. Yuba and his family have themselves become semi-nomadic. They follow the rains for several months a year and settle in the summer near to oases, such as this one, so as to be close to the wells. As well as being a place to replenish supplies, oases are also trading posts for nomads. And today, Yuba has gone in search of an old acquaintance, Daveda, the chief of Tungard.
Where have you travelled from?
Miles away, a village called Bouaboul. We've just arrived, and I need to buy some food. In exchange, I'm selling this sheep.
I'll give you 14,000 for it.
Well, that's out of the question.
How much will you sell it for me then?
Are you kidding me?
Tell me how much then.
Well, you're no longer my friend.
All right, I get it. There. There. And there. Take your money. Thank you and goodbye.
Daveda, the chief of Tungard, is also a farmer. He owns several hectares of land in the neighbouring palm grove. In the shade of the date palms, Da and his men have planted barley and carrots. It's an island of green in the middle of the sand.
What I like most in the world is watching the rain fall from the sky. That's the most happiness I can have in life. Because it's rainwater that causes the groundwater to swell. And that water supply allows us to water our plants and keeps the oasis alive.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Mohammed Lemin, are you all right up there? The climb's not too difficult.
No, it's fine.
The palm grove used to extend much further on the other side, but since the desert has advanced, it's grown much smaller. The desert is continually advancing. It's smothering the palm trees, and the palm grove is dying. We're trying to find solutions to halt the dunes by planting trees. That has curbed the advance of the desert a bit. I am not the only guardian of this oasis. All the people who work here take up their shovel or their pickaxe to help protect the palm grove. This is the legacy of my ancestors. I don't intend to abandon it. It's the only home I have.
By preserving this palm grove, Daveda and the villagers of Tungard are also protecting a watering hole that is indispensable to the survival of nomads on the Adrar Plateau. One such tradition is the camel race. This custom, like everything to do with nomadism, is gradually becoming obsolete. Except in Tungad, where Davida has managed to assemble a group of local camel drivers today. There are 9 camel drivers on the starting line. Deda is the youngest, but also the lightest. His big brother has also decided to take part. Deda and his brother are well placed. They help one another and zigzag in and out to close the gap on their competitors. The course is about 2 kilometers long. By the halfway mark, Deda has already taken a comfortable lead.
All is well, Father. All is well. Something wrong?
No, everything's fine. It reminds me of the good old days, and of my friends who are no longer with us. The atmosphere, the shouting, all the people who were there. It stirred something in my memory which has been dormant. The camel race used to be a very important event. People would come from all over the Sahara to take part. Things are not what they used to be. Sadly, cars have replaced the dromedaries. I'm very proud of my son. He represents me and he respects me. He came to the desert to keep me company in my final years. I pray to Allah to grant me enough time on this earth to be able to pass all my knowledge on to him.
Passing on traditions while there's still time. The race against time is the same all over Mauritania. The Adrar Massif continues to the east, to the edge of the Sahara. There, a geological structure, 50 kilometers in diameter, the result of subterranean volcanic activity and erosion, scans the stars like a giant eye. It's the Richat structure, otherwise known as the Eye of Africa. Nearby are 2 ancient fortified caravan trading posts, Wadan and Shingeti. Founded in the 13th century, the fortified town of Shingeti was a commercial crossroads between North Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. This desert metropolis was the 7th holy city of Islam and a symbol of the Sahara's nomadic culture. Shingeti was known for its scholars and was, in its glory years, one of Islam's pillars of knowledge. It is said that every building housed a library. Today, there are only 5 libraries left, only 3 of which are still in use. Saif is one of the last remaining librarians.
Did you know that it was distant cousins of our family who introduced tea to Mauritania. People didn't used to drink tea. They infused roots.
Herbal tea?
Yeah, they drank herbal tea. My grandmother always used to say, I must stop drinking all this tea. But the problem is, as soon as you've washed your face in the morning, you fancy a cup of tea. When it gets to midday, tea is a must. And after lunch, well, if you don't drink tea, it's as if you haven't had lunch. Tea at 4 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon is another must. And at night you need a cup of tea too. So, of course, she didn't manage to cut down at all.
Just like every morning, Saif is getting ready to go to work in the family library. But today is a special day. His nephew Mohammed is starting work alongside him as a librarian's apprentice.
In Mauritania, every tribe has its function. There are warriors and blacksmiths, but we are Zwayas. Zwaya means teacher, someone who carries books. We are here to teach and inform. I want to carry on this tradition and work with manuscripts.
Here we are at last. This is the library door. I'll show you how to open it. Look at that. And mind you don't mistake it for a toothbrush. You have to find a notch inside. Once you find the hole, you jiggle it, and hey presto, it opens. I'm not immortal. A young member of the family needs to take over from me. Look at these. Our ancestors kept these manuscripts in trunks or in sacks, sometimes in incredible conditions. These cardboard boxes contain our culture. These manuscripts have all been catalogued. For example, under T, you've got theology, and A is for astrology. It's all been properly indexed. And inside there are treasures to be found, some dating from the 15th century. Here, for example, you've got a summary of the writings of Imam Mustafa Khalil. He was a theologian. You need to be extremely careful when you open them. The manuscripts can't withstand the sweat on your hands, or sand, or dust. Look, one part is written in red, and another part in black. The pagination is very unusual. You'll only see that in these works. The last words written here are copied again at the top of the following page. It's a form of pagination.
Oh, yes, I see it. Here and here.
That's right. Follow me. I'm going to show you some others in broad daylight. This is an astrophysics book, which dates back to the 18th century. The West had scholars too, but the Arabs were the first to explore the sciences of astronomy and mathematics. Here you can already see the constellations for Cancer and Libra. The Arabs knew that the Earth was round and that it revolved long before Galileo and Copernicus.
Where do these books come from? How do they all come together?
It depends. Some of these books were written here by members of our family, and some were acquired elsewhere during pilgrimages and business trips. They were bought, exchanged, or given to us out of friendship. And sometimes they contain knowledge that we memorized and then transcribed. That is a skill that has set the inhabitants of Cinquetti apart over the years.
Thanks to the conservation efforts of librarians like Saif, the precious manuscripts of Chinguetti, the Sorbonne of the desert, have resisted the onslaught of time. But nowadays, it is the libraries themselves which are threatened. All around Chinguetti, the desert is advancing, the result of climate change caused by human activity. Adra's old walled towns are gradually becoming submerged in sand. At the request of Saif, Mohammed has gone off to visit the libraries in another ancient town, 130 kilometers from Chinguetti. Wadan, a 14th century fortified city, is also listed as a cultural heritage site. Here too, the city is suffering from the ravages of time, desertification and the rural exodus. Despite these perils, a group of villagers has sworn not to let Wadan and its traditions die. Today, they are preparing for the Festival of Ancient Cities, which will take place in a few months.
Hello. Welcome. Saif told me you were coming. Come and join us. It's a traditional game, a sort of leapfrog. When they pass from childhood to adulthood, the young must try to find a place for themselves in society. The weakest will suffer at the hands of the strongest. They will be beaten and jumped over. It's almost a test for them.
Why are they touching their heels with their tongues? What does that mean?
It's a game of dexterity. You are upside down. You have to go down without touching the others. It's called the fast and the pilgrimage.
And that?
This game is called the jumping virgins. You need to be very strong to support the weight of the others. If one person collapses, the whole team loses. And when one team loses, there is a debriefing and everyone passes the buck, saying, if you were stronger, we wouldn't have lost. Now it's the tug-of-war. Are you playing?
Yes, I'm going to have a go.
Go on then. Go and defend Chinguetti's honor. Mahmoudi, it hasn't started yet. Don't start pulling yet. Go on, Mohammed. Pull on the rope. Go on, the man in the blue boo-boo. Put it straight in front of you. Go on, pull. Don't give up. Go on, pull. Don't give up. No, pull harder. Pull harder. It makes me laugh because Mohammed who has travelled a long way to see us, is getting beaten like everyone else. He should take it as a welcoming gesture. It's our way of saying, you are one of us. It's what you might call tough love. It makes me very happy to see a young man like him show an interest in tradition and culture and these manuscripts. I'm comforted by the fact that they won't disappear, because the young are there to take responsibility for this heritage, this treasure, which has existed since the dawn of time.
On his return from Wadan, Muhammad was greeted by Saif. The old librarian wanted to take his apprentice to the big dune, which overlooks the surrounding area.
Chinguetti must survive. You must pass this knowledge on. My generation of old people has had its day. It's up to you youngsters to roll up your sleeves now. Bear in mind that you are defending the legacy of your forefathers, and that without you, it will soon disappear. It is all down to you, and you alone.
Saif is training up his successor because passing on his expertise is worth more than a legacy of 1,000 pieces of gold. Just like Yuba the nomad or Noor the fisherman, he knows that Mauritania's heritage now depends on its next generation of sentinels.